Well, good evening, Sheraton. Everybody here today. All right, we're going to get started. SU Football Weekly with Joe Austin starting here in just a few moments. Stay with us.
Working out of the shotgun, snap is back, hands it off. Smith trying to bounce it to the outside, heading to the pylon, dives, and he's in. 5-yard touchdown run for Elijah Smith, and the Pirates are on the board here in the first quarter. Ball going to come down on the 20, so this is going to be a 30-yard field goal attempt. As the snap is back, the hold is down. It's a side-winding kick towards the uprights, and it is good. Will Herbst knocks it in from 30 yards, and the Pirates take their first lead of the game. Slack is ready to go, receives the handoff, Burrows up the middle and into the end zone for a Pirates touchdown. Devin Shaw is the deep back. 4th down and goal from the 3. Snap is back. Pitch to Shaw, looking for a lane and strolls into the end zone, standing up for the Pirates touchdown. Great blocking on the outside edge as Devin Shaw takes it in for the touchdown. And Southwestern now leading by 3 scores. 23-7 with the extra point coming. Good. Slack takes the handoff. Pressure coming in his face. Rolls out left. Points down the field. Lobs it. It's caught wide open. Brandenburg into the end zone for the touchdown. 26-yard strike. And the Pirates have blown it open here in the 4th.
Appreciate everybody joining us as always here for SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. We just decided to go right into the highlights tonight, Coach. He said, why not? You know, we skipped the intro video. We went right to the highlights. But, hey, a great victory. The Pirates coming off their second conference victory of the season last Saturday on the road in Jackson, Mississippi versus Belhaven, 31-21. Let's give a round of applause for the Pirates. Back in that winning column, they're 3-2 overall, 2-2 in American Southwest Conference play. Southwestern back on track as the run game really dominated this one. 277 yards on the ground, 175 yards through the air between 2 quarterbacks. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. Coach, though, as I just said, of course, Southwestern back in the winning column after a really great defensive effort. The offense doing great as well. You got to give both sides credit on this one. They converted 10 of 17 on 3rd down. That's almost 60%. That's a great way to win ball games. First, really, Coach, what were you impressed with your running game? It was a solid running effort this past Saturday.
We got a lot of contributions out of a lot of different players, and so several different running backs contributed a lot. And we also played 8 or 9 offensive linemen, and our offensive linemen, I thought, took a step forward. It was kind of a challenge that we made to them in the Saul Ross game the week before. I felt that they didn't quite work to their potential, and it was great to see that they were able to do well. We used a lot of different formations, a lot of different personnel groupings, and as I said, a lot of different guys contributed, so it was a really good day of rushing the football, a lot of third down conversions, a lot of chances for our defense to rest, and of course that keyed the fact that they were able to get 9 straight stops is they didn't have to be on the field a lot, so they got some 3 and outs, then we'd go out and have some long drives. We actually had a 16-play drive in the second quarter that we missed a field goal on, but 16-play drives keep your defense fresh, and so to have things working back and forth, I think it was a really good team game.
Coach, going back to third down, as I mentioned earlier, almost 60% converting those third downs. I could ask you, and I know you'll say we want to be 100%, but really where is a good rate to be? Is around 60%? Would you consider that a good area to be on third down?
Well, 45% I think was what most coaches will tell you. 45% or above is really doing an outstanding. 60% is going to put you in a really good position to be successful. And what happened was we ran the ball well enough and did well enough on first down that we were in some really manageable distances. You want to stay away from the third and 6 plus, and you want to be in the third and 1 to 5 area, and that allows you to do whatever you want to do. You can throw the ball on that down distance. You can run the ball on that down distance. So good first down plays, good running on first down really set up a lot of things that we wanted to accomplish.
Well, we've talked a lot about the running. Let's talk about the passing. Coleman Kerr returned from the injury, of course, helping to restore some parts of the offense that have been a little bit dormant. 8 of 15, he was 133 yards. And then J.J. Slack. A lot of folks saying, where did this young man come from? J.J. Slack made his debut, 2 of 4 passing, I believe 42 yards. He had the lone touchdown there. No interceptions for both of these quarterbacks, of course. Coach, how important is it to have Kerr back? And then talk a little bit about J.J. Slack. That was pretty exciting to see him come in and play quarterback for Southwestern.
Both the young men that played quarterback did a really nice job. And in the first half, we went with our shotgun package. As you mentioned, it's not the offensive package we started the year with. There's been enough changes where it's not exactly what we'd like to do. But Coleman coming back, I thought, was a really big boost for us. He threw the ball well. He got a lot of man coverage situations, which really defined things for him. He knew pre-snap where to go with the football. He executed his footwork and made some really nice throws. What stopped us in the first half was we had some holding penalties. We had a fumble. And then we actually ran a reverse for about 25 yards that we had an illegal formation on. And all the penalties they called us for, we committed. So there wasn't like there was anything that we could point a finger at someone else on. So it wasn't that Coleman didn't do a great job in the first half. Our plan was to unveil our new under center I formation offense with JJ in the second half. We've been working on it for several weeks. And, the week before we were down to our last quarterback on the roster of Hank Moore. And we knew we needed some reinforcements for that. We knew it may be a while before Coleman would be healthy, and it's going to be several weeks still before Austin Emery comes back. So we needed to have something else, and so we worked on this for a few weeks, and we felt it was game ready. And the plan wasn't necessarily to run that the whole second half, but we just did so well with it. We came out and we scored right away, and then we scored 2 more times with it, and ended up scoring 24 points throughout the second half, really controlled the ball, converted a lot of third downs. As you mentioned, JJ was 2 for 4 passing, but also drew some pass interference penalties also. We threw the ball more than just those 4 times, and we got Anthony Stevens in one-on-one situations and David Brandenburg in one-on-one situations, and they had to commit some penalties rather than give up big plays. So both of our systems worked well. But again, of course, it was the defense getting 9 straight stops that really helped. We had 1 30-yard field. When you get the ball in the 30 and your defense sets you up there, it can really help. And we did score on that drive. So as I said with your first question, I thought our offense and defense really worked well together, set each other up. The offense gave the defense some breaks, and the defense gave us the ball back quickly, and it just worked out really nicely.
Coach, as we continue to talk here in this first segment, looking back versus Belhaven, you go and look at this game. Belhaven, by any stretch, they're not a bad team. This was a team that, literally they gave UMHB a little run for their money as far as the point differential this season. UMHB, number 1 in the nation. We'll talk about that in the final segment. But talk a little bit more about Belhaven and their toughness, because this was not a game that Southwestern walks into and says, oh, we've got this easily. This is a tough team this year, and you guys took care of business.
They are a tough team. They have one of the best quarterbacks, potentially the best quarterback in the conference, in my opinion. A guy that scares the heck out of me and Coach Kriesel, our defense coordinator. We, being shorthanded in our secondary, we were worried about how we'd contain him. I think our guys that played did a really nice job. I think it was Caleb Richardson's first start, for example. I think he did a really good job as our free safety. And their defense is one of the best scoring defenses around. They held UMHB, the number 1 scoring offense in the nation, to 23. No one had scored more than 27 against them the whole year. And we went out and we put up 31. And as I mentioned, it could have been more. In the first half, we stopped ourselves a little bit with penalties. We missed 2 field goals. But it just goes back to not just the offense doing that. We got the ball on the 30-yard line and scored a touchdown. It's what the whole team did that really helped our offense.
You know, it's good to get back into that rhythm after some losses. What'd you tell the team after the game, Coach?
Well, I told them I really liked their approach to the game. We came in, we were even more thin than we were the week before, and I thought their approach to the game was focused but loose. You know, they weren't like, well, whatever happens, happens. But they had a mentality that you could just feel that they were just going to go play. And they weren't going to worry about the scoreboard, and they weren't going to worry if the defense gave up a touchdown or if the offense had to punt. They were just going to go play. And we really outplayed them in the first half. It was only 7-7. We came in at halftime. No one was down. There was no finger pointing. It was just, we're just going to keep going and grind this thing out. And as a result, we really opened it up in the third quarter. We ended up scoring 31 unanswered. They scored a couple in the last 2 minutes to cosmetically make it look like a closer game than it really was. But I think I just told them at the end of the game, I really like their approach, and I'm hoping that we can duplicate that approach and be a team that just goes and plays, because you never know what scoreboard's going to be, and you can't just play for the scoreboard. You've got to play the whole game. And I mentioned it before, the score, I don't know if it's on the show, but I mentioned it to the team, the scoreboard during the game is just a stat. It's like looking at how many passing yards you have. It doesn't matter till the game's over. So we don't care about stats during the game. We just care about playing football, and then we'll look up. Of course, we're aware of the score and we're aware of the situation, but it doesn't matter till the end. And I thought we had a really great mentality of whatever's on the scoreboard, it's not going to matter until the end. We're just going to go play.
Well, Coach, as we close out this first segment, my final question to you, you're traveling. It's another trip by bus. You're facing OU Texas traffic. How was the travel, and how well-rested were the guys?
Yeah, travel was hard. We were an hour and 15 minutes late to the hotel. And we padded it, right? You look at your Google Maps and you get a couple opinions, look at programs. You study different routes that you can drive. And we settled on staying on the interstate because the buses just don't go real fast on the back roads, weaving your way up through Marshall and going through that way. But Waco's a nightmare. We had to get off the interstate at Waco and weave our way through Waco. And then getting through Dallas was really tough with traffic. So it wasn't bad. The guys got to stop at Buc-ee's, and I think that appeased them a little bit. They always love stopping at Buc-ee's. But we got in a little bit later. I don't think it really affected much. We had enough time, but we got in there a little bit later than I would have liked to. But I don't think it affected anything on Saturday.
Awesome. Well, again, congratulations on the victory. Southwestern took care of business last week. As we step aside for just a few moments, we'll be talking to a few students here in just a little bit. Stay with us, friends. Let's give Coach Joe Austin a round of applause here in this first segment. Thank you, Coach.
You bet.
And again, congratulations on the victory. We'll step aside. Segment 2 coming up as we interview players. Stay with us, friends. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues in just a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. I'm Rob Pipp, now joined by Major George, the junior linebacker for Southwestern. Let's give Major a round of applause. Good to have you up here, man. We were, let me fix this. I should have did that, when the camera's not on you.
Oh, it's all good.
We were chatting a little bit earlier, Major, and from San Marcos, Texas.
Yes, sir.
Out of Hill Country Christian High School. And I wanted to bring this up right away. Even though officially on the roster you show up as a linebacker, you do a lot with special teams. Tell us a little bit about your role with special teams to kind of get started, man.
Really, I'm on all the special teams except for kick return. And I really enjoy that just because it gives me a chance to go out and do as much as I can for my team. Honestly, it's really good to just go out and just hustle down on kickoffs to knock some heads and everything, and give us good punt returns and everything. So,
well, you're majoring in kinesiology, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, sir.
I got to ask you too. I love the name. How did you get the name Major?
Actually, my mom went to UT, and they thought that Major Applewhite had a really cool name, and so they were like, "Hey, we'll name my kid Major." So that's how I got the name.
Man. I'm sitting here thinking, it seems like Major Applewhite was just playing college football yesterday, and you're talking about you were named after him, man. Well, awesome. Talk a little bit about, your journey here to Southwestern. You've been here since a freshman. What have you noticed? What's changed? And really, what has the journey been like for you here at this wonderful school, man?
Well, really, getting here, it was a lot for me to learn. I came from Hill Country Christian School, which was a six-man high school, and Southwestern was my only real legitimate offer and everything. So I really had to learn how 11-man football worked my first year, and then last year I really focused on developing those skills even further, and now I'm feeling really confident in my own ability to go out and play.
Well, of course, pursuing that kinesiology is where you want to be at, and you've had a little bit of opportunity to kind of work in some areas. You interned at San Marcos. Tell us a little bit about that, man. That's pretty cool.
I interned at a fitness center in San Marcos called SoHi Sports and Fitness. It's owned by Charles Austin. He's a Olympic high jump record holder and everything, and so I really got to do a hands-on kind of approach with a bunch of different student athletes and athletes in general who just wanted to get better at a whole lot of different sports and everything. So it was a good chance for me to see stuff from a fitness that isn't necessarily just extended to weights and that kind of training. So.
Well, as a linebacker, but then, of course, playing on special teams, as you were talking about earlier, you guys, you don't see a lot of numbers show up on a stat sheet, maybe tackles and other things like that, but there's a lot that you do. Talk a little bit about your role on the linebacker position and really how you're benefiting and helping out your team, man.
The way linebacker works for me is that I talked to Coach Cheesy, and they told me at the beginning of the year that they want me to be ready to go at every single linebacker position we have. And, we don't really want to do it, but we're switching linebackers around all the time. Last week we played with a 3-4. We've played with 3 linebackers before, and so I'm trying to learn every position so that wherever they need me, I can go out and play for them.
Awesome, man. Well, last week, of course, getting back onto the winning streak, the long bus ride. How was the bus ride, by the way? Did you enjoy it? What do you watching movies? How do you deal with that long bus ride, man?
I really watched a lot of shows on Netflix and everything on those bus rides.
Most. You guys had to get the victory. You take care of business versus a very tough Belhaven team last Saturday. What excited you most about that game, Major?
I think just how hype it was all around, As a defensive player, it's really exciting whenever offense is doing really well, and seeing that new I-form come out was just so exciting to watch for everybody involved and everything. And then on the defensive side of things, we didn't have the best game ever, but we played really well, and that's just always exciting to get 3 and outs or long drives, but force them to punt and everything. So everything we did was we just came together, and if I had to describe it in one word, it was just hype.
A lot of hype. Awesome. Well, this year, Southwestern, of course, you're on the team. A lot of injuries. You're facing them. How have you guys been able to work through that from your perspective as a player?
I was actually in that group of injuries, and I'm working out of it right now. I had an ankle sprain, but it's tough, but we have to deal with it. Like I said earlier, we're switching our defenses around a lot this year compared to other years. Just because we're trying to work with what we got and everything. Honestly, it's a challenge, but I think we're pretty fundamentally sound and able to handle it with whoever's in the game for us.
Huge opponent next week, or coming up Saturday this week, and we'll talk about that with Coach Joe Austin in the fourth segment. Number 1 team in the nation. What's the mindset heading into this game? You're back here at Georgetown for this one. You know this is a UMHB team that played very close alongside Belhaven, who you just defeated. What's the mindset, your preparation going in against a very tough team on Saturday here at home?
For me, I'm just trying to tell myself to be really fundamentally sound and really physical. Last week we played really fundamentally sound, or we need to play better, but we didn't play as physical as we can, and we know what they're going to run. So I'm telling myself that they don't really do anything that's overly fancy, but they're really good at what they do. So we're just going to go out and hit them in the mouth, hopefully.
Still got a year of college besides this year, only a junior. Some time to think, though. You mentioned kinesiology. Where do you want to be once you graduate, man?
I'm looking at either becoming a strength and conditioning coach or a personal trainer. I'm not too sure yet other than that, though.
You see the Southwestern logo. You know, it's even stamped on a water tower here in Georgetown, which is really unique. It's really awesome. Georgetown and Southwestern have really meshed, especially over the last few years. It's exciting to see that, to see you guys. What does it mean to you, Major, to be a Southwestern University Pirate?
Oh, I love it. I love Southwestern. I love the friends I've made here and the classes now that I'm into my major and everything. I'm really enjoying it. It's just a tight community of good people and people who really just want to be great at whatever they're studying or whatever they want to do. So.
And you know, of course, it's not all football. You guys are taught a lot of character things. What are some things that you've learned while being in football that may not necessarily be related to football as far as character building?
We have our principals there, the Southwestern men, and I don't want to be on the spot to recite them all, but I'm pretty sure I know them pretty well. But they're just basically guidelines for how we should act as football players and also as young men and just adults now that they're really good to follow and apply to everyday life because they work for both the team and just for a mentality of being successful.
Awesome, man. Couple last questions. First one I want to ask you, what are some hobbies you got outside of football, man? You know, we talk football all the time. Let's talk something else for a minute.
Honestly, while I'm in school, I don't get a whole lot of time to do it, but I really love some hunting, some fishing, some mountain biking, just being outdoors, all that kind of stuff. While I'm in school, you know, I like to play games, so.
You got to take advantage here in Georgetown. We have, when I was sitting back going maybe 15 years ago, at that time, we had 40 miles of hike and bike trails. I'm sure we've got more now, so definitely take advantage of that. Man, camera right in front of you. Who do you want to send a shout-out to tonight from Georgetown?
I guess I want to send a shout-out to all my family watching, my sister, my mom, my grandparents, my dad, my uncle, just all y'all. Thank y'all.
Every
Love
time
y'all.
you say the moms always enjoy that, so that's good, man.
Yes,
Hey,
sir.
let's give it up here for Mr. Major George. Appreciate you. Congratulations on all the success, and we'll be right behind you. We'll step aside for just a moment as we interview more guests. This is SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. We'll be right back in just a few moments. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Everybody having a good time tonight so far? How's the food tonight? Man, I'm going to have to see if we can work out a deal to where maybe we can get some food right here in the middle, and we'll showcase that in between some of these segments. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm now joined by Jacob Wiebelhaus, the junior offensive lineman. Let's give it up for Jacob. Thank you for being here, Jacob.
Thank you.
Good to have you, man, from Victoria, Texas. As we were just talking, of course, right in between Houston and Corpus Christi. You were only there about 7 years, though. What was it like growing up or spending a little bit of time there in Victoria, man?
Oh, it was great. Made a lot of good friends. Played a lot of good football, a lot of good baseball. There's really good fishing down there. Big fishermen, bass fishing out on the coast. It's really fun.
Victoria East High School. Take us through that, man. What was it like playing in high school? And you mentioned baseball. Did you play baseball in high school as well?
I played a little bit. I mean, I wasn't very good. I'm a little bit better at football than I was baseball, but played a lot of football, had a lot of good games. A few tough years, first 2 years there. Next 2 years, we were the winningest team in Victoria history, so that was a lot of fun. Probably had 8 or 9 college signees that year. It was great.
I got it. Before we continue, I've got some other accolades I want to mention, but it's just really standing out, the mustache. Tell us about the mustache. Let's give it up for the mustache tonight. Tell us about the mustache, man.
So last off season, we were out running, and it was like 90 degrees, and I had a full beard, and I was like, you know what? Can't do it anymore. It's about to get hot. I need to get rid of it. So I was shaving the beard and started like pulling on the mustache, and I was like, you know what? I might be able to curl it. So went and got some mustache wax, curled it. The rest is history, man.
That's awesome, man. I've never had that. Of course, nothing like that, and it's awesome. I like it. It's bringing back, some really cool old school stuff in here, man. But when you wake up, if you don't have the wax, is it kind of like a bad hair day, but for the mustache?
Yeah. A lot of times it doesn't want to cooperate with me, and I gotta mess with it for another extra 10 minutes in the morning before I go to class or football or whatever's going on.
I could just see you walking in. Sorry, I'm late. Had to fix the stash, man. Well, as we continue to talk to Jacob Wiebelhaus, junior offensive lineman, studying business and kinesiology, correct?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, man. You've won the Director of Athletics Academic Excellence Award in 2018 and 19. Also on the Dean's List this spring of 2019. Congratulations on that, man. That is awesome.
Thank you.
2 brothers. Is that right?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Are you the oldest?
I am.
Talk about that, man.
Got my brother Ben. He's 16. He makes me look really small. He makes me look like a little kid. He's about 6 foot, 285. He actually has a football game tonight, so I want to say good luck to him tonight. Awesome. Go kick some butt. You got it, bud. He goes to Norman North High School in Norman, Oklahoma. Then my youngest brother, he's 11. He's Sam. He's my little mini-me. We go fishing. We go biking. We go play football and baseball all the time. We're real good friends, real good brothers. I love them both.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, of course, a junior, what has the journey been like for you? You've been here since you were a freshman as well. What have you seen over these past few years, and just talk to us about that journey, man.
It's been a great journey, honestly. Every year we get a new bunch of guys coming in, bunch of new friends you get to make, and you're still friends with the older dudes that left, and you become a real big family, and it's great. Not just with the football team, but with the whole Southwestern community. You get to know everybody because it's so small, and it's just awesome because you get such close friendships and relationships. It's awesome experience.
As a junior, your role in the offense, of course, I'm assuming, a lot of times your seniors have leadership, but as a junior, you've got some leadership as well. Tell us about that.
I try to take as much of a vocal leadership stand as I can. I really like teaching the freshmen how we do things at Southwestern and just how we bond as a line, as an offensive line. We really try to bring the freshmen in under our wings and just make them feel like they're part of the family.
And when you were a freshman, that was kind of reciprocated, correct? You felt that way as a freshman.
Without a doubt, yes.
Awesome, man. Last week, great victory versus Belhaven to get back in that winning column. How impressed were you with the victory, and what were some of your positive takeaways, and then maybe some things to work on?
I was super impressed. We played pretty physical. We ran the ball well, threw the ball well. Just really impressed with how we were all able to mesh together as a team with how down we had been lately with the last 2 losses and come together and really win this game big. I think we can work on being more physical, even with how physical we were last game. Mm-hmm. There's always a chance to be better, and we're just going to strive and work hard every day to be the best we can be.
What's really excited you most this season so far?
Just having fun, man. There's nothing like playing football out there with your friends, and college football, it's great. It's awesome.
Hey, and the weather, it was a lot cooler. How nice was that? You know, you're in Tennessee, the cold front, it knew you were going, so it followed you. And you're playing in cool weather. How nice was that to play in a little bit of cooler weather finally?
It was perfect football weather. It was great. The turf wasn't burning like it is down here in Texas all the time. Out there it was cool, had a nice breeze. Wasn't sweating too much because it was pretty cold, but it was great.
Well, next week, as we talked earlier, of course, with Major, a very tough opponent, number 1 in the nation, UMHB, University of Mary Hardin Baylor, the Crusaders. How do you prepare from your standpoint going into this weekend?
A lot of film, a lot of reps, just getting ready, seeing what they do, watching their tendencies, knowing who we need to block, when we need to block, what play we're running, and just how we need to be physical with them and how hard they play.
You know, that we're well over the halfway mark now and still quite a few games left here in conference play. What's kind of the mindset now down in this home stretch?
Just give it all we got, play to the best of our abilities, and have fun.
Awesome, man. Couple last questions here. What does it mean to you to be a Southwestern Pirate?
Honestly, it really means everything. Being a Pirate is great. I wear it on my chest all the time, out in the community. So many people come up and they recognize you from the games, like, hey, I saw you on the field the other day. You guys played great. I'm like, that's awesome. Victoria had 2 schools in the town, so it wasn't a one-school town, and having the whole community built around the Southwestern football team, it's really great.
And how important is it, facing UMHB back at home at Birkelbach, of course, one of the nicest facilities able to play in here in Division III football, a stadium that seats 12,000 plus. How nice is it to be at home, and really how nice is it to play in that facility that Southwestern is tremendously blessed to have that opportunity?
Oh, it's great. Playing at home is always awesome because it seems like we pack the stands pretty well every Saturday. They bring a great atmosphere, and with great atmosphere comes great energy, and it always provides great energy for the team, and that great energy always leads into us playing good.
Still another year of college. You got a little bit of time to think, but you talked about business as well alongside kinesiology. Where do you want to be, man? What are you looking forward to in business?
Man, I really have no idea what I want to do yet, but I feel like business and kinesiology are both pretty broad and general subjects. So I've had interest in coaching, and actually worked on the railroad this summer, and that business aspect of the railroad was really interesting to me, and just going to see which path I got to choose.
You kind of led into that next question. That was one of the final questions. You interned for a railroad company up in Oklahoma, correct?
Yes, sir.
Mention a little bit more about that and what you learned from that and how exciting that was. Because, I saw an article the other day that there's a need for railroad conductors, as that's an industry that transports everything, but there's not a lot of guys taking advantage of it.
Yeah. So my opportunity this summer was I got to sit in on meetings with everybody, with all the general managers and everything, and I also worked maintenance away, which is just repairing the track and getting it ready for all the trains to go on. And I really learned how to work with a team and how to show up early and work hard all day and go home at night and then get back up the next morning and get back to work.
Awesome, man. Camera right here on you. When you came on in the mustache, YouTube is able to decipher things, and it flagged it, and now there's probably about 2 million people watching. Just kidding. Who do you want to say hello to tonight from Georgetown?
I got to say shout out to my big bodies, all the offensive linemen out there. We'll see y'all at Whataburger here in a little bit. Shout out to my mom and dad, my brothers, all my family watching. Shout out to all my friends watching.
Awesome. Jacob Weebelhaus, we enjoyed it, buddy. Good luck on the rest of the season. Let's give a round of applause for this young man. Another great young man, as they all are here at Southwestern. Well, friends, stay with us as we'll continue segment 3. We'll thank some of our sponsors. We'll look around what's going on with other athletics here at Southwestern University. We'll be right back. This is SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. As we look around Southwestern, of course, a lot more athletics going on at Southwestern besides football. We like to highlight some of those in women's tennis. A month ago, Southwestern University Pirates women's tennis first year, Nina Mitrofanova. We talked to her last week, defeated 2 regionally ranked seniors to win the Intercollegiate Tennis Association. That's the ITA Fall West Regional Championship. This weekend, she'll step onto a national stage against heightened competition at the prestigious ITA Cup in Rome, Georgia. Again, we spoke to her last week, so congratulations to her. Good luck. We're all rooting for you here at Southwestern. Out of Destin, Florida, the Southwestern University Pirates men's golf team closed Golf Week Division III Fall Invitational with its strongest round, jumping 4 spots on the leaderboard to finish 8th. Cole Osgood was consistent throughout the event as the lone Pirate to finish in the top 10. Austin Kelly, John Kellum, Christian Rodriguez, and Thomas Kunzar also had great rounds. Southwestern University will travel next Monday to compete in the ASC preview at the Hideout in Brownwood. Good luck, guys. We're behind you as well in the golf team. And then finally, the out of Denver, Colorado, Southwestern University women's soccer achieved their second highest scoring game of the season, a 4-1 victory over Johnson and Wells University Wildcats. And the Pirates women's soccer are now 10-3 overall, 2-1 in conference play. Up next, the Pirates will play back on their home turf at the varsity field against Trinity University Tigers. That happening tomorrow, August 18th at 6 p.m. Of course, for more information on athletics and what's going on around Southwestern, please visit southwesternpirates.com. Well, friends, every week, we never leave them out, a lot of sponsors, and I go over them because there are so many folks that support Southwestern University athletics. Want to make sure that we go over those here during this time. Gary Brown CPA, John F. Lewis CPA, State Farm, Stephanie Featherstone, BBVA, First Texas Bank, R Bank, Texel Credit Union, Don Hewlett Chevrolet Buick, Antioch Georgetown Church, Groove Line Productions, Boomtown Escapes, Primerica Financial Solutions, Upstream Investment Partners, Stansky's, Georgetown Shirt Company, HEB, Family Emergency Room, St. David's Georgetown, Eagles Wings, the Sheraton Austin Georgetown Hotel and Conference Center. Thank you to the Sheraton. Appreciate you guys having us every week. Georgetown Palace Theater, Chisholm Trail Pediatrics, Minuteman Press, Waterboy Graphics, Berkshire Hathaway Home Services Realty, Roger Chappell. Roger. He's here in spirit, Roger. Good to have you in spirit, Roger. Georgetown Commercial Properties, Turnip Seed Real Estate Group, Chick-fil-A, Double Dave's Pizza, Mama Foo's, Mighty Fine, Burgers, Fries, and Shakes, Monument Cafe, Rudy's, Sloshki's, Whataburger, CJ's Catering and CJ's Sports Bar, Wolf Ranch, Georgetown Title, Hello Georgetown and Website Mojo, and also the City of Georgetown. Can we please give those sponsors one more round of applause? Thank you for all that you do for making so many things possible through your support. Well, friends, we'll continue with segment 4 as we look ahead to this week versus the University of Mary Hardin Baylor. Stay with us. SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin continues in just a few moments. Well, welcome back to SU Football Weekly with Coach Joe Austin. Appreciate everybody being here this afternoon as we look ahead to Saturday versus the University of Mary Hardin Baylor, the number 1 team in the country, the Crusaders. Southwestern will face them on Saturday here at home. Always a very tough opponent. Their smallest margin of victory was a 23-13 victory over Belhaven. That happened back in week 2. As the Crusaders defeated East Texas Baptist last week, most recently 50-14, and earning the D3Football.com's National Team of the Week. The Crusaders win by an average of just over 46 points a game. They average in total around 55 points a game. They're second in the nation and first in the ASC. The Crusaders also have the third-ranked scoring defense in the nation as well. Coach, I've said it over and over, the word is tough. It's tough every week. This week especially tough versus this very good opponent. Not much time to celebrate the Belhaven victory as you now face that top team. Still some injuries for Southwestern. Defense really, I believe, and you can kind of expand on this and your thoughts, very much key to the game. Before we get started, though, what's it like to play UMHB every season? You know, it's a game it's a big game. What's it like to play them every season?
Well, I enjoy it. I don't shy away from competition. I don't shy away from a challenge. And I think one of the things that I liked about moving to the conference that we moved to is we get to play a whole host of schools that are very good every year. And I think you frame the challenge well. They're number 1 in the nation in scoring offense and number 3 in scoring defense. That's pretty good. And, of course, we're not able to face them at our full strength. I think, particularly our seniors at the beginning of the season, we're looking forward to having that full strength team. If you remember, 6 weeks ago, we're talking about having 10 returning starters on defense, and now we've got about 4. And our offense has changed tremendously throughout the course of the season. And, of course, those aren't excuses. Those are just the way it is at this point. So we're going to go and give them our best effort, and it's a way for us to measure where we're at as individual players as they go through their matchups of who you line up against and who you have the challenge of facing throughout the day.
Well, the Crusaders, of course, known for their ability to force turnovers. They're one of the best in the conference, if not the nation, on that end. How do you prepare your team for that heading into this ball game?
Well, you can't do anything different. I mean, they're so athletic and they're so fast that they beat you to the football. Whether you're pitching it or throwing it or handing off, they get in the way an awful lot of what you're trying to do. So you just have to be really good at what you're doing and execute without mistakes, because if there's a mistake, they're better than anyone at taking advantage of it. They just have a knack for creating turnovers, and they play a really unique defense because they can. They spread themselves out and really blanket the field. You're not going to see very many people near the football because you don't have to have very many people near the football. There are 4 defensive linemen, and 1 linebacker can pretty much take care of almost everyone's running game. And that allows them to be a blanketing shell of a pass coverage team as well.
You know, this UMHB team and their quarterback can pass, I believe it's around 16 yards a reception. They lead the conference. You guys are number 2 in that category, though, as far as passing per reception. Talk a little bit more, maybe some not specific players, but maybe positions to watch out for with University of Mary Hardin Baylor, Coach.
Well, the thing about their offense is they don't have a weakness. They have some really good deep threats that they can just run past you down the sideline. They can take apart your zone coverage because they're really fast and athletic in that area. They also have a really strong underneath screen game, how they get their inside slot receivers involved. So you can't hang back underneath or they'll take advantage. They can't hang back or they'll hit you underneath, and you come up underneath and they hit you deep. And then the third thing is their offensive line is very good and they run the ball very effectively. So they don't have a weakness as far as how they're going to attack you. So they challenge you to cover everything. Sometimes you can play a team where you know what their strength is and you say take away their strength and make them do the other thing to beat you. This is a team that doesn't have a weakness.
Well, if it makes you feel a little bit better, and for those out there listening, last year I had a bunch of UMHB parents email me saying, can you guys come do our broadcast? I said, nope, we're doing Southwestern. So we're looking forward to the matchup, Coach. Kind of leading into that, how were practices this week, Coach?
Practices have been good. I think our guys, building off of last Saturday, are getting into a frame of mind where we're just going to go play. And it doesn't matter who we play and where we play, we're going to stick together and we're going to play for each other, and we're just going to go, and we'll see how things turn out. And I think and that's a great mentality I talked about in the first segment. You can't play for the scoreboard. The scoreboard takes care of itself. And so I'm really glad that we're coming out of that phase where we're worrying about things that are out of our control sometimes, and we're just getting back to what's my job, what's my duty and obligation to the team, and let me go out and do that.
You've touched on a few things already, Coach, but as I ask every week to wrap up this part as far as keys to victory.
Well, I think the formula to try to beat this team is the same for everyone. You make the game as short as possible because they're going to score and they're going to stop you. So the longer you can keep the game as a contest, we can keep the margin between you and them moderately close, the more pressure it puts on them. And if you can get into the third or fourth quarter where if you can get a big play, you can take the lead, or get a big play, you can get within 1 score and maybe have an onside kick chance. That's what everybody tries to do all the way through the national championship games and the semifinals is you try to shorten the game and you try to hang with them, limit their opportunities to score, limit your own turnovers. So it's going to take a really good team game. Our defense is going to have to find a way to get a few stops. Our offense is going to have to find a way to put first downs together to rest our defense, but to move the ball down the field. And we'll have to end with kicks, whether it's a punt, a field goal, or an extra point. We need to end every possession by kicking the ball rather than throwing it to them or fumbling it to them. Those are not ways you want to end your drives.
Coach, understandably, every game, is a victory. You're looking for that win in every game. And entering week 7, some people would say, oh, we're down to the final stretch. And I may have said that earlier, and if I did, I'll kind of take it back because it's never really down. You're always trying to go up and continue to get better and improve as the weeks go on. I wanted to ask you this, though, now as we're starting to get that second half of the season and get it underway. What's the playoff outlook like? And besides, of course, the obvious of winning, what does Southwestern have to do to really make a run this season?
Well, the playoff outlook is very good for UMHB, and we'll see whoever else from our conference can get in there. I think we're definitely on the outside looking in. Still an outside chance, but we've got a lot of work to do before we can start looking at that.
Coach, final thoughts before we sign off tonight.
I think it's a fun challenge. You asked what it's like to play these guys. I like playing them every year, and I'm hoping that our guys will like the challenge also. I think the players that have played them before like the challenge. They like to go and measure themselves against the number 1 team in the nation, and hopefully we'll give them a really good effort.
Awesome. Well, Coach, we always appreciate you every week. To all of the fans and those that have joined us tonight, is there any first-time guests here tonight? Troy, have you been here before? Troy, and Debbie's been here, though. So, Troy, good to have you tonight. Thank you for being here. And I believe Don from Florida, is he back there? Thank you for joining. He came all the way from Florida. He said, I'm going to come to the show tonight from Florida. So thank you for being here, Don. Appreciate you. As always, we appreciate all the Southwestern University staff. Dr. Munt, we appreciate you, as well as Glenn and so many others for all that you do. Coach Austin, as always, appreciate your accessibility as we look forward to the game coming up on Saturday at home, 1 p.m. kickoff in Georgetown. Let's fill the stands. As I said earlier, we've got the finest stadium in Division III. I know UMHB brags about theirs, but we've got a nice one too here in Georgetown. Come out, support these guys at Southwestern, and let's cheer them on to a victory, friends. As I end every broadcast, reminding you tonight, we're not strong enough alone to make it our own. We need each other. Provide a word of encouragement. Lend a hand of support. Somebody tonight needs you. Good night. God bless from Georgetown, Texas. Go Pirates. We'll see you on Saturday. Have a good night, everyone.